see, are we there yet? It's trying to connect. Hi everyone, if you're watching a recording, do fast forward a couple of minutes here. We're going to start in just about 1 more minute. Yipes! Okay, just about there. How's everybody did everybody have a great weekend? How's everybody's day? Mine has been busy, busy, busy. Oh my goodness. Yes, what did we do this weekend? It rained, didn't it? I think it rained. It rained on Friday. That's right, because I tried to do a tile job outside. It would need it 24 to 48 hours for the mud to dry, and what happened? It rained on me, so we're waiting another 24 to 48 hours for it to clear up, hoping that the rain will stay off just long enough for everything to dry and give me the time to frickin' grout this thing. Holy cow, my luck, right? I waited for the most pretty day and then it rains. Yeeps. Anyway, well, I hope everybody else had a more productive weekend than I did. But hey, I did have a productive weekend. What did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I worked on the books and I'm completely caught up to date, so I'm pretty excited about that. But great way to start the Monday. I've already done a bunch of stuff off my to-do list. Check and check. So excited to take a couple days off for all my hard work. How's that? Anyway, I forgot to change this. Hold on, let me change this really quick. This is not week 70. This is week 71. And we are going to go ahead and update that. Bam, there it is. Okay. So this is week 71, if you can believe it, and we are almost into August next week. Crazy. Yeah, half the year is over. Christmas in July was yesterday, right? Isn't that how that goes? I don't know. We don't celebrate it, so there it is. Just putting it out there. Just occurred to me as I'm looking at the date today. Anyway, so today is Makeover Monday. And we are going to redo the Chevron project from before. If you're just joining us, Makeover Mondays is we're just taking old projects and making it into something new. It's a different way of looking at your projects. Maybe you've done something that you've, you no longer like. Because you know what? Our taste changes and we have a fresher look on things and our technique grows and we mature in what we do. So maybe you can make it even better. So that was that's the premise of Makeover Monday. And so today we are doing, I didn't grab the old project. Hold on just a second. I'm going to go grab the old project because I didn't think about it. 1 second, I'll be right back. Oops. Wrong one. I'm not on yet. Okay, so we're just about back. Yeah, okay, so of course I turned off my video because I'll let you guys guess why. That said, okay, totally forgot to pull the old project. So let's take a look and see where we headed. So, when I did this project, it was minimal metal Monday. So everything was based on 18 or 16 gauge wire and we built it up from there. And we created, I don't know, something like 25, 30 projects from just 16 and 18 gauge wire. So, the Chevron is a very traditional design. It's been around forever. And I decided, wouldn't it be great? Because I like my jewelry to be a little bit heavier. So these would have been really great for earrings. But then I came up with something like this. And as I was writing the instructions last night, I realized, this would be really great as a bracelet. It's a lot of work, but it works really well because it does flex nicely. So something to consider I'll talk about that as we go here. Let's see. Okay, so we'll zoom back out. All right, so it's Makeover Monday, and we're redoing the Chevron bracelet. Let's talk about what all we need. So you'll need something to make the bend of the metal with. So I'm going to use today a nylon bracelet bender. If you don't have one, you can definitely use a 3/4 inch dowel rod, that works. Or if you don't have a dowel rod, you can also use a ring mandrel. That's a great way to go too. Some pliers would be great. I'm going to use my parallel pliers. You'll see why here in a minute. And of course, some cutters, flush cutters, and heavy duty cutters, because we're going to cut some really heavy metal. So what is the metal that you need today? You're going to need a 3 by 1.5 millimeter piece of rectangle wire. You can also use 3 by 1 millimeter rectangle wire. I just like it a little bit heavier because it gives it a lot of weight. As you know, I like my jewelry to be heavier. Some 6 millimeter jump rings, 18 gauge would be nice. Some 8 millimeter jump rings, again 18 gauge would be really nice for that too. 18 gauge square wire or 16 gauge square wire would work also, okay? And of course, you know, I use a lot of scrap, so we've got some scrap running around here. A ruler will also be helpful today, and definitely a Sharpie, a solder setup with some solder. You can do this with any metal. If you're using sterling silver, you're going to need hard, medium, and easy. If you're doing copper, you can just use the copper solder paste, because remember, copper solder paste is self-leveling, so you don't need all the different temps. By the way, all of these items are available at theurbanbeater.com. I've posted the links and the details. Andy is also posting out there in all of the platforms. And we are simulcasting today on 4 platforms. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Facebook. So do join us on one or the other. There it is. Okay, so let's jump in and do this. So what are you going to need to do to get this done? As simple as this project looks, it was a little tricky, and you'll see why here in a minute. So first things first, you want to cut pairs of wire. Okay, so we're going to go with 21 millimeter, and the middle one's going to be 18, and this last one is going to be 15. I already pre-cut those, and now I'm going to cut the other ones. I'm going to cut the middle ones, okay? So here we're going to go with 18 and 18. So I just want it to vary in size because that's my design. However, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, if you're making it into a bracelet, I wouldn't vary the design. I vary the sizes. I would just go ahead and use one size throughout. Okay, use your heavy duty cutter. If you don't have a heavy duty cutter to cut this, definitely don't use those small Lindstrom cutters because you're going to break it. Saw it. I know, did I actually say saw it? I did. You're going to have to saw it if you don't have the nice big cutters, okay? So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to file the inside of the V, okay? So that it comes together and make a nice solder joint, because if we don't file, you can see here how your joint is going to be just that little teensy weensy tip. So by filing a little bit to the inside, like so, we have a much nicer connection, okay? So we're going to take out the file, and actually, you know what? Because I have a little bevel here, I'm going to cut that off. I just want a nice flat cut, okay? At least on the bottom to start with. Less filing for later. So I'm going to lop off. Actually, you know what? I'm going to mark it for you so you can see that. I am going to lop off the inside right here, just like so. About 3 to 4 millimeters worth of metal. Can you see those dark spots? That's what I'm going to file. So you can just hold it like so and file. But frankly, I find this a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my parallel pliers, and I'm going to help myself because this is going to make my life a lot easier. And I'm going to, oops. Okay, I say it's a lot easier. It was a lot easier earlier when I was doing the other ones. There we go. See, so I'm just taking off a little bit and making a slight angle, taking off the corner. Now this is going to be vary a little bit between yours and mine, depending on how wide of a V you decide to make. So here I'm just going to do a little bit, and I'm going to do the adjustment after I solder the first one, because maybe the first one doesn't solder perfectly, and I'm going to make the adjustment. Okay, so here I'm going to file a little bit more. Why are you fighting me? Ah! Someone suggested a ring clamp. All right, you know what? I'm going to grab my ring clamp. You know, I never ever remember my ring clamp. Okay, let's pull out the ring clamp and see what happens here. Good suggestion. Let's see. Because these pieces are a little bit small, and I was just really filing my fingers. Wow. All right. Ah, good call. Once again, this is why we like having people on, so they can tell me how to do it better. It's so good. Again, I don't know why I never think of my ring clamp. I have a tendency to use my vise when I'm setting instead of my ring clamp. Yes, I'm a double filer. You all know that. I'm just filing copper. Should be just fine. There we go. Let's take a look. Not bad. We'll start with that. Okay, so here's my pieces. Make sure I got the right angles going. I'm going to go ahead and again solder these, but oh, don't forget you got to make a little curve in these. Make sure you curve it the right way. So again, for me, the easiest way to do this is to put it into a bracelet bender and bend it down. It's just the slightest of curves. It doesn't need much. And if it's not bending because the piece is so small and rigid, then go ahead and anneal it, okay? There we go. Or again, you can put it around a dowel rod or a ring mandrel and bend it that way. See, it's just the slightest of bends. All right, there we are. Okay. So here I'm putting this on my honeycomb block because I'm finding it's so much nicer just to have something stabilize it. See, that's why we do what we do. You can put a little bit of solder on here because I'm using copper. I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of copper. See that? Copper solder paste to the inside there. And I only need it on one side. I don't need to put it on both. Remember, if you've never used solder paste before, the flux is already built in, so you don't have to add flux. I'm going to move this so it's nice and touching. And I'm just making sure that my V is even. This, for me, I don't know why, is a hard thing to do. Is to make sure that they're even. Okay, just gonna go ahead and solder that. If you're doing silver, you want to make sure that you start with hard solder paste, okay? Heat the whole thing and then heat right there. If you're doing silver, copper, you just hang out right here until it flows. It's a pretty heavy piece of metal, and you want to make sure that it makes a good connection, because we're going to torment it just a little bit. Okay. I don't think that's soldered. Oh, we did solder. Yay. Okay, so there we are. First angle, or first V, and I'm going to set up my next one. And see if I need to do any more filing, or if I like that. Not bad. I need a little tiny bit more on this side, because again, I'm looking for a really nice connection. Okay. I'm going to set this up. I'm going to dip it in. You know, a lot of people fight with the solder paste and they try to spread it around like peanut butter, and you notice I'm just sort of dipping it in, and I'm not even using the syringe top. I mean, honestly, we don't even provide the syringe tops anymore to our solder paste because it's just sort of a hassle and a waste. So, because most people don't use it. All right, I'm going to put this in here just to make sure I've got enough space. Good. Okay, we'll solder this one. This is the middle one. So remember, we're cutting 21 millimeters, 18 millimeters, and 15 millimeters in pairs. We're going to file off the inside corner where it's touching, and then bend it, and then we're going to solder it. So each one of these, we're soldering separately, so you'll go ahead and use that hard solder, or if you're doing copper, then clearly you'll just use some copper solder. Okay. And I always take my time and let the solder set with copper. Silver, I just pick it up. Give it a nice quench. Check, make sure this is good. Oh, that is good. Okay. So now comes the next one. See where we are. I already did this one, so let's see how well I did. Oh good, that'll work. Did not bend these, so I'm gonna bend it. Lost my, oops, there they are. Nice bend. Make sure they're facing the correct direction, or else it's not going to work. Set you up. So, dip you into a little bit of solder. so. And again, I'm just going to place this right on top to see if it is correct. Voila. Set it up. Okay. Heat it like so. Again, hard solder or copper solder here. Make sure that you get both pieces evenly hot so that the solder makes the correct connection, that it just doesn't go to one side. Give it a quench. Try to pull it apart. We're nice and solid. Yay! Okay. So from here, if you will notice, you see the ends, it's not straight, it has a little V in it, so I'm just going to trim that just a little bit, just to give it a nice little cut, instead of filing, because filing just takes forever. Okay. And if you have a great connection, this will not be problematic. If you don't, it's going to pop open here in just a second. So it's a good test. Okay, so then make sure that you file these, because it has sharp edges, of course. So give it a little bit of filing. I'm going to lop off the corner just a little bit. So frankly, if you look at the picture, I'm deviating a little bit from the design of the picture, because I'm finding that I overthought it when I did the first one. I went ahead and I filed the V's in like this. There's no reason. You can, it's a design option, but I'm finding that I don't need to do that. Because if you do this correctly, they should all nest inside of each other. Taking off that beveled edge. If you need to sand it a little bit, just to make it nice and soft. If nothing else, at the very least, sand that last one, because that's the one that's going to be touching you if you're wearing it as a pendant, okay? Just like so. Okay, so then next up, you're going to take out your square wire. The reason why I'm using square wire is because it doesn't roll away. You can use round wire if you want, but it has a tendency to want to roll away. But you're going to cut a piece of square wire that's going to be the width of your V. Okay, so let's mark that. And I'll just cut off the excess later. There's one. And what's going to happen is you're going to sit this on top. There's two. And there's three. I feel like my wires aren't really straight, so I'm going to put it on a bench block. Try to straighten that just a little bit more. Because of course, again, I'm using scrap wire. Duh. So then what's going to happen here is we're going to put it on our honeycomb block, and we're going to solder it right on top, just like so, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of solder again on the top of my V's on the inside of the curve. I'm not so worried about the fact that my V's are not even. I'm going to even them out after. For me, it's a little bit easier to do it this way than to do it ahead. Okay. We're going to pin this in place because you see how it just wants to go everywhere. One in the middle like that. Obstruction, so you gotta go. Okay, you're still not being helpful. Oh, okay. None of that's being helpful. My solder is now gone. No. A little bit more. Okay, solder, come on off. There we go. Okay. Excuse my head, but I need to look over it because I want to make it nice and straight. There we are. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the top, but be careful. You do have to solder that little, the crossbar, the square wire. But because the top piece is so heavy comparatively, you've got to get it hot first before you start heating that bottom one. And this one's a little bit trickier because it's hard to see the solder flow. But I believe that is it. Give it a second. I'm going to go ahead and start placing the other one. Ooh, good. All right, so now I'm going to pickle those. I didn't torment this so much that I have to pickle it, so that's why I haven't pickled them. I'm a bit of a lazy pickler. I only pickle when I have to. A lot of people are really, what's the word, particular about pickling. They like to pickle a lot. I'm not that girl. There we go. Okay, again, excuse my head. The overhead camera, but you'll see it here in a second. And I'm not worried that it's not straight. I'm going to trim that after. Again. Just a reminder, or for those who are coming into this late, that's the story. Remember to get those two top pieces really nice and hot. Second, set up the next one. I say that a square wire doesn't roll away, but did you see that roll away? Check my connection. Ooh, that's nice. All right. Third piece. You know, you can make this bigger or smaller if you want to. You can add extra pieces. I would be working in odds because when you're designing, it's really awkward to just have an even number. Don't forget that. Ouch. There we go. Is that even? It's even. Okay. third piece. So far, so easy, right? But it's all about to change here in just a second. It's about how we're going to connect these. That's going to be the trick. You know, if you've been following along for the last 71 weeks, there's always a trick to these things. Except for next week. So next week we're doing the crescendo makeover. And it was a crescendo bracelet from last year. We're just going to make a pair of earrings, just a twist on the design. Maybe we'll talk about lots of design options on that crescendo. I mean, that crescendo, you can do it so many different ways. Okay, so this is going into the pickle too. Let me go in and get the other one, the largest one out, because it should be happily pickled by now. Oh, it is not. And my pickle's really hot. I'm starting to wonder if my pickle is deteriorating. But give it another minute here. So I was taking count of all of the projects that we've done since last year just to see where we're at. And we are officially at 120 projects since last year. Wow. So I guess in about 4 weeks, we're going to be at 75 weeks. I'm wondering if we should do something special. I don't know. 125 and then when we hit 125 projects, maybe we should do something special. But considering how busy I am, I haven't been able to wrap my head around that yet. We'll see. If you have suggestions, feel free to send it out. So over the weekend, we finished the fidget ring. And much to my delight, many people were able to finish it. And they got it to fidget, which is so exciting to me. Okay, I feel like my pickle needs a little bit of a freshen up here, so. Okay, here we go. This is the first one. So you can see it's a little bit too big. So we're going to trim that. And I guess trim it just straight across like so. Okay. If you want to, you can take out your saw and saw it instead. If you want to be a little bit more precise. I'm totally good with this. And then we're going to file the tops. Make it nice. Like so. And then of course, take off those corners because they're sharp. Okay. And then sand it a little bit. Okay, so here's where the tide is about to turn, where the difficulty comes in. And this is when I start praying to the solder gods. We're going to have to add jump rings on the back of these to make the connection, because it's basically what I'm going to call a blind connection, where you don't see where it connects, or an invisible connection. So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, I'm going to pin this baby in place because I already know it's going to move all over the place. Ooh, ouch. That one was hot. Like so. Okay. And then we're going to take out our 6mm jump ring and we're going to cut it in half. Make sure that the jump ring itself is really nice and flat, that you don't have any beveled edges, because you're going to have to solder one side of this down. One. And we're going to do one at a time. Okay. Oops, wrong one. These are hot, so I better grab my tools. Okay, so you see how I turned it so that it dips up? Okay, so we're not rocking anymore. And I'm going to do this by hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the bottom half. Yep. the bottom half of the jump ring. I'm not going to solder the top one because it has to stay open. This is where solder paste is just going to be your friend. All right. So I'm going to heat the piece first, and then I'll bring in my jump ring, because remember, this 3mm rectangle wire is pretty heavy. And I'm going to solder it to the bottom, towards the bottom of the V. There we go. That's one down. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. See that? Now you really see it, right? You see? The one is soldered down and it sort of hooks up. So we're creating hooks. Okay. I'm gonna put that in the pickle. And then I'll do the second one, but I'm going to grab the other ones out and I'm going to keep working. So you're going to do this for the large one and then the middle one. Okay? But I got to trim these middle ones, these other pieces first, because they haven't been trimmed yet. So. Again, I'm just double checking, making sure that my connections are good, because you don't want it to fall apart after you solder the jump rings. Trust me on that. Okay. A little bit of filing goes a long ways. There's my little one. Okay, so this is my middle one. Just going to file that one too while we're at it. Making it nice. Okay. Flip this over. Set it up. Nice and tight and in place. The curve is facing up. I'm soldering the back side of the curve, remember that. And here I have the other half. We're doing half, so it doesn't matter that I match these up, right? And I'm grabbing a tiny little bit, can you see that? Just a tiny little bit of solder. So make sure that when you do this, you have nice, steady hands, and sorry, it looks like this pin is in my way. I'm gonna have to move it. So you wanna make sure you have nice, steady hands, no coffee. There we go. I let go too soon. Try that again. The solder's still there. Let's see if I can get it to flow. Oh, good. So the reason why that didn't happen the first time or the second time is because it was still really hot and the solder was still soft. Okay. sure that's actually on there. It is. Okay, let's go back for the large one out of the pickle. Nice. So again, here's that first one. So now we're going to go do this side. Stick it back in here. You know, when you're working like this, make sure that you're adjusting your piece to where it's most comfortable for your hand, so you're not pointing the torch at your hands, and you're not doing something that's unnatural, as unnatural as you can make, you know, as unnatural as this is. You still got to make sure that when you're working, your hands feel comfortable and in the right position. Okay, so again, a little bit of solder. And we're going to go right here. So what I'm doing when I do this is I make sure I know where my hands are going to go before I turn the torch, because obviously I don't want to point the torch this way. I'm going to torch myself. I want to point the torch this way, away from my hands. So we're going to heat this here. Nice and hot. Bring this down and move it into position. Done. Yay! Can you see that? Maybe you can see it better. There we are. 2 pieces. Woohoo! Wait before I put in the pickle. Ooh, okay, it's good. Checking it. The other one needs another minute there. So in the meantime, I'm going to make a double jump ring for the bail. So I've got 2 jump rings here. Set you down, and then we'll put solder on one of them. You don't need solder on both, you just need solder on one. See that? Just a little bit of solder. And a pair of tweezers. And I'm going to solder this with the openings on top of each other. Okay. And this is just, again, a design choice. If you want to, you can go to a triple or just a single if this is too much work for you. But I'm just going to solder them together to make my bail. Okay. Okay, so a double jump ring. Put that in the pickle too. And we're going to grab that medium one. Set that back up. There. Okay. And I'm going to set this here. Some room to work with. By the way, if you have any questions, do post them. Andy will be reading them off to me. So the jump, what size are the jump ring for the bail? It was 8 millimeter. But you can use whatever size you want. So this one's going to go here. Heat it before we bring down the jump ring. Wow, my solder jumped, but notice, just gonna be patient with it. and move it right into position. Give it a second to set. Oh, okay. This one did not solder. It just released. So I'm going to try soldering it now. Again. Let's see if I can get that to happen. The other one wants to solder. Okay, so the answer is no. I'm gonna have to do this on a second round. So that one released, and this is the problem with all this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pickle that and try it again. In the meantime, I'll pull the other two pieces out. We'll do a little cleanup on that while we're waiting for that piece to pickle. So here you can go ahead and steel wool it or whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the jump ring bail, the double jump ring bail. Okay, so I was a little off of my opening, so I'm just going to cut it. I know, I'm cheating. I'm totally cheating. But it's okay. Is it cheating? I'm making it work. So I cut it open. And we'll just slip it on like so. And because it's copper, it's just closing up really nicely with my fingers. But I'll help it out here and make it nice. Just like that. Just being gentle with it. And lining it all up. Okay? So again, while we're waiting for our pieces, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. You know, what's sort of interesting to me is here I am making this for the second time, and it always gets better when you do this, at least I think. But so much to my surprise, it's, you know, it's, for me, it doesn't seem like it's always great when it's live, but this is going to be a much prettier piece than the first one. Oh, the first one was just a hot mess. I had to do so much cleanup on it. I was sanding. Solder was everywhere. And yeah, lots of cleanup to get it there. This one, geez, if a brass brush isn't just enough to get it there. Wow. Making me happy. So if you have a buffing wheel, go ahead and high polish this. If you don't, you can take out your pro polish pad and make it really nice and shiny. I'll show that to you here in a second. So with the pro polish pad, you can make this even shinier. We do have these on our website too. And you can use this on your copper, your silver. Most people use it on their silver. But look how much shinier that is without having to go to a buffing wheel. If you want to, you can go ahead and solder that with some easy solder. Oh, I don't think I mentioned. So the jump rings are done with easy solder. The crossbar is done with medium solder. Maybe I did mention it. I don't know. I just don't remember mentioning it. If you have any solder that's bleeding, take out sandpaper and sand it to remove any of the solder. Look at that. Okay, let's see what this medium one is. Check in my pickle. I've lost my half jump ring. Whoops. Get that cleaned up and solder this other one on. Okie dokie. Little bit of solder because it ran away, just like so. Let's see, we're gonna go again, just finding the right hand position that works for me right now, and it changes up every time I do it. You never know what feels comfortable. Feeling particularly good about this one. A little more heat. There we go. Now I feel good. Okay. See? Back in the pickle. And we're almost done. Yay! That went a lot better than I anticipated. It made me look like a professional. Look at that. Shocking, but true. Okay, so we have 2 pieces. Clear off my bench just for a second here while we're pickling. We're gonna connect all these pieces. I'm gonna grab some pliers while I'm at it. I might need you. So we'll leave that out. So what made my life easiest today is going to be the bracelet benders. You know, they're really nice to make these little curves, and yeah, it's nice to have to bend your bracelets, but it's really nice when we're making these curves and making them consistently, which is great. Doing it by hand, I did the other ones by hand. I don't know why it didn't occur to me then when I was making the first one to use them, but there it is. I know, too many tools. Did I say that? Did I say that out loud? No, not too many tools. How about just too many things on my brain? Okay, here we go. Here's the middle one. So I can already tell you that I have created a small problem for myself on this one. There was a little tiny bit of solder on the other side, and sure enough, when I was trying to solder that first one back on, it's soldered. So I'm just gonna snip it open, just like that, and it's fine. See? Okay, so let's clean this one up. There we go. So I have a tiny little bit of solder that bled on the front here. Just take out a little bit of sandpaper and clean that up until you're happy. And then take out our Pro Polish pad so it matches, everything matches up. I don't know why, but I've gotten away from using Pro Polish pads. I really need to start using them again. They're really cool. Okay, so now you're going to need to, hopefully your solder joint is really nice. Hopefully my solder joint's really nice. But these on the back end needs to open up just a little bit so that you can fit the wire through. So I'm going to open them up just a little bit before I slip them on. And I'm going to slip it on like so. See? Yes. So the question is, are you only supposed to solder on the side of the jump ring? The answer is yes. So notice here I have a half jump ring, but I've only soldered one end of it because it has to be open so that you can slip this on. So how does it not slip out? Well, I'm going to tell you. We're going to take out our pliers. I know this is really scary, but we're going to do it. And I'm going to bend it back in And notice how I'm just sort of changing my curve a tiny little bit just to make it more of a hook. Be gentle. See, isn't that cool? And then this one, again, I'm going to open this just a tiny little bit. And hopefully your solder joint's really solid. But you can do this. That's the key to all this, right? I'm gonna slip this on. Come on. Well, it goes on one side. This one's not quite open enough. Okay. I'm going really slow here, just because I don't want to go too far and break it off. There it is. Voila! Again, we're going to bend this down just a teeny weeny bit. Just to make it sort of like again, like a hook, so it doesn't slip out. And look at that. I'm so excited. It fits. It's all good. See, everybody is working. So here, I did make this a little bit tight. You can see that, but I can always come in and file that a little bit more on the sides just to help it out a little tiny bit. Otherwise, we are done. And that is the chevron pendant. Voila. So, if you have any other questions, do send them forward. Just to let you know, because this is the Chevron 2.0, it is included in your first purchase if you had purchased the download last year for the chevron pendant. And I will load that up onto the website. If you are joining us for the first time, you can definitely buy the download. The downloads are only $5, so now it's a 2-for-1, and you get both the first one and this one, the instructions, for $5. And that's how we do that. And that's how we are creating revenue for ourselves right now. So do help us out by buying a download, or you can just make a contribution. And to everybody else out there who has made a contribution, really appreciate the support that you have given us through 71 weeks and 120 projects here. So for now, it is Monday, and that's all I've got for you. Oh, what's going on this week? Let's see. Wednesday, supposedly I'm doing a live on site, but I don't know. That might not happen because it's supposed to be raining. So maybe I'll see you on Wednesday, maybe I won't see you on Wednesday. Registration for Virtually Ever Crafting is still going on. It's and there is a coupon out there for $8 off per class. Coupon is available on the homepage of virtuallyevercrafting.com. You'll find the code there. And then I'll be back. Let's see. Friday there's a Zoom along. Sully will be there to hang out with you guys. And then on Monday I'm going to be back with the Crescendo Earrings 2.0. Andy, do you have anything else? That's it for us for today. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'm going to go get some work done. And I'm going to go enjoy my day. I hope you guys go enjoy